evening and welcome to another edition of Vox Populi with yours truly, Barrington Skippy Thomas. Now, the subject matters that we're going to discuss this evening are going to be, of course, a review of Charles' funeral, a review of Pandey's funeral, and crime, which is a substantive issue that I always proposed that we discuss. But for whatever reason, we just kept being all over the place and so. So quite simply, I attempted to share my thoughts on the last occasion I sat, and that is concerning Charles's tenure. Now, I was making the point then, as I will make it now, and I had to do so amidst much jeering and sneering and snorting and ranting and so on the last occasion, that I don't know. I have asked one of Charles' most ardent supporters to outline for me what was Charles' achievement. Yes, I understand he was one of the torch bearers for the whole issue of autonomy for Tobago. Did he achieve it? And the answer is no. The answer is no. Someone tried to subscribe to him, merit for Act 40 and so. And that is Act 40 of 96, if my memory is correct. And I am saying the answer to that is no, that's a falsity. Charles organized, Charles arranged, Charles petitioned, Charles achieved no such thing. Act 40 of 1996, the THA Act as we know it now, could be in error on the year of the Act and so, was the work of an arrangement made by Robinson and Pandey, and of course I don't want to use the word minions because I really don't want to use that word. But it was really the work of Robinson, Pandey, part of their negotiation when it was 1772 to allow Pandey to become Prime Minister. And that is what Act 40 of 96 really was. Well, the THA Act, as I said. So let me stop quoting the Act. I'm not sure if I'm quoting correct. But that is what that was about. And surely, some of the things that were negotiated in the Act did not materialize itself, and it created this massive fallout between Robinson and Pandey. As a result of that, Pandey relieved Nathaniel Moore and Agnes Williams, and subsequently Pamela Nicholson, of their services from the Senate and his cabinet, respectively. That grudge between the two men continued even when Robinson became Prime Minister, when he appointed Manning during the 1818 in vengeance for Pandey reneging on some of the matters that were negotiated and assumed to be settled in the Act. And that is the truth. Those who were in the cabinet then will tell you that there was always this decision to put Robinson into the presidency, because while in the Pandey's cabinet, Robinson, those who were in the cabinet will tell you, in fact, the words they used to describe, the words those who were in the cabinet used to describe Robinson, is that he was an obstructionist. And that was his way of retaliating against Pandey for, again, reneging on some settled matters of Tobago's autonomy. So to ascribe the Act 40 of 1996 to Ochoy Charles is incredulous. At best, it's incredulous. What did Charles do for the autonomy? He fought for it, he argued for it, he made some petitions and so, some political interventions and so on. He did so strongly. Did he achieve it? The answer is no. And I am not prepared to celebrate in 2024 the work of any politician who have promised autonomy on their platforms and are unable to deliver it. And that is my position. Hate me or love me, that is my position. And my position on that further is simply this. Simply this and no more than this. That in discussing that act, Charles was not able to bring it home. But I can't recall Charles ever signaling a definite period in which he will be able to make that delivery. And it is in those circumstances I am constrained to give him a pass, and I will not describe him as a failure, but rather one of the torch bearers. You see, because this Tobago autonomy issue is a serious one. 2025 approaching will make it 100 years since the first signal in dissent and in objection to Trinidad's domination of Tobago occurred, you know. Make it 100 years. 2025 will make it 100 years. And that is contained, of course, in Davidson's Chronicles of Tobago. And if we have been doing the same thing through the various torchbearers, I mean, I will only go from memory. So from Bigat to Fargo to Robinson to Murray to Ho Choi and Dinoon, and now the last torchbearer is Chavez, Augustine. If it have been done in a particular way for the past 99 years, oh, for the love of God and for all the tea in China, do we seriously expect, if we keep doing this, adopting the same method, that we're going to get the autonomy? Because what we have now is a very impatient group of millennials who are not prepared to settle for excuses. Because if the common excuse from the Chavez-Augustine regime right back to the Robinson regime of 1980 have always been to blame Trinidad, and we're using the same old method to achieve more autonomy from Trinidad. The definition, or one rather, of one of the definitions of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So those who have fought for the autonomy and have failed to deliver it will find no sympathy or support from me. And that is my position, bluntly, plainly, and simply. I am looking agonizingly but expectingly at this current administration on this issue of autonomy, particularly since a significant period of their tenure have already elapsed. There is nothing out the autonomy. And you know why it's hurting me? I was vacillating this in my mind whether I should share this with you all. No, I'm not ready to share it as yet. That while we are here in Tobago with poor service delivery, huff and puff, but no house falling down, huff and puff, and so antagonizing and annoying the residents of the island with this autonomy talk, but no delivery. While we are here doing that, I know somebody who is benefiting from the whole Tobago's autonomy discussion. I will not be specific. So when we saw recently this major split up and this major breakup of a man and a woman, Some had fun, some had kicks, some shared sympathy. And every opportunity she gets, she catch a plane and she come up to Tobago to look for an interview. Let me tell you what all of that mean and what the problem was and what really caused this split up. It had nothing to do with no relationship and all that. For a minute I thought I was by Bunda's bar. I thought I was by Bunda's bar for a minute. It has nothing to do with who vex, who sympathize, and who shared views. The substance and the reality of that is the Taiwanese government is funding a struggle and a cause for our autonomy. So every time she run up here with some bicycle and you realize everything she doing, it must be recorded. And she traveling all over the world more than the Secretary General of the United Nations. That is money from the Taiwanese government funding what they think is a Tobago's autonomy struggle. Perhaps, just perhaps, I will share a little more about that in significant detail in the very, very near future. And she's having a ball. And the Paris mashup. So one is back here. So she's having a ball all over the globe. Visiting here, picture here, video there, giving out this year, giving out that year. And every trip she make everywhere all over the world, she tell the Taiwanese government that she's whipping up and drumming up support for the Tobago autonomy struggle. And why is she able to do that? In fact, let me go back to when the pot was sweet before somebody threw too much salt in it. When the pot was sweet, why that was able to be achieved, to meet with the Taiwanese and achieve that kind of funding and support in aid of Tobago's struggle, is that one may have had the authority to do so at the time. It might have been a task at the time. But before the mashup, you have to understand the Taiwanese struggle. So you see, I'm making this point to tell you that Tobago's autonomy and how it can be done is not unique. There are modules around the world that can be looked at. One may argue and suggest the Hong Kong module. Some will suggest the Taiwanese module. And so I was telling you why this globe setter is able to do all what she's doing in the name of Tobago's autonomy, while people here in Tobago have to hear the excuse every day that Trinidad is with problem. But millions of dollars are being spent in aid of Tobago's autonomy. So she globe set, she trots all over the world, she take pictures and videos of everything. And the rationale for that is to demonstrate to the Taiwanese, evidence of her work and travel and so on. And of course, she feigns discussions and give hope and things. I know that. And as I said, another time we'll deal with the details of that. But I'll tell you why that was able to be achieved. That was able to be achieved because the Taiwanese situation is almost identical to the Trinidad-Tobago situation. I have a Taiwanese diplomatic visa. I understand what is taking place there because I was also, at one time, not now, involved in the Taiwanese struggle for its independence. And I did so through the Rose Foundation. Nobody can deny that. I have broadcasted many international shows and so in championing the Taiwanese cause from Taipei. So what you had in China was you had two strongmen. You had General Chiang Kai-shek, which was at the time the legitimate leader of China. And then you had Chairman Mao, which was at the time, secretary of the Communist Party. So, of course, there was this massive revolution of the people. Mao was communist. General Shek was nationalist. And the only time they were able to put down arms against each other was when Japan invaded China. So they decided we won't fight each other, we're going to fight Japan. When the Japanese surrendered and they withdrew and retreated from China, and this, what I'm talking about is mainland China, because Taiwan as we know it always existed and were part of China. So when you look at the documents, like on your passports and the Taiwanese visa and Taiwanese document, you would realize that whether we believe it or not, there is no country called Taiwan. We just call it Taiwan. But officially and documented, you look at passports and these things, what you will see is the Republic of China. And mainland China, as we know China, is known as the People's Republic of China. But China have insisted that, and I go back to use the term loosely now, that Taiwan is still part of its territory, like mainland China, the large island, and China, what we call Taiwan, the small island, right? But the Taiwanese, under General Chiang Kai-shek, persevered. And through many struggles, they were able to achieve, I want you to hear this, their own flag, their own currency, their own army, their own military, Air Force, Army, every Navy, their own military, their own president, their own prime minister. But you will never believe that a country or an island with its own flag, president, prime minister, cabinet, currency, army, everything like a full state, that country is still part of China. So they are not, while they operate independently from China, they are not independent of China. I don't know if I could make it any clearer than that. So there are modules to look at. We have, I'm told, and this is no indictment on any office holder or any individual. There's no indictment on them. But we have an office here called the Office of the Deputy Chief Secretary. And I'm advised, and I reasonably believe the advice, which is responsible for attending upon matters of Tobago's autonomy. We have persons out there meeting with the Taiwanese saying we understand your struggle because your struggle resembles our struggle, and are acting on behalf of the THA. Well, let me withdraw THA to say, acting on behalf of Tobago, being funded and feigning to be getting our autonomy for us. And when we have a unit so properly designed, set up, and appointed for that purpose. In those circumstances, I am saying, if that woman knows what to do, she was appointed to do no such thing. She has no division of technocrats to support and so. What is happening with those so responsible in the THA for autonomy? Because I'm not prepared to take an excuse. Because to accept an excuse for the autonomy struggle is to continue hearing, well, and when I say this is not me personally, to accept an excuse for Tobago's autonomy means that I am accepting that I will hear for the next 100 years. You can't get the scholarship because Trinidad didn't give you enough money. You can't get this because Trinidad didn't do that. You can't get this because Trinidad didn't do it. And if autonomy is what will solve our problem, I want to hear definite positions with definite timelines and certain accountability on this autonomy struggle. And I wish to advise those involved in it. that to put Alan Richards and all these people who have been working on it so long and were able to achieve nothing, to reappoint them to continue, it's not an indictment on them, eh? It's not an indictment on them. And so it is in those circumstances I said that I'm not prepared. I know I have great sympathy and respect for Mr. Charles. I have great sympathy for his family. I extend my deepest condolences and so to them. But I'm not prepared to celebrate anything about Mr. Charles and autonomy, particularly since I am not satisfied that he have delivered it. And since autonomy is the core basis for Tobago's people's problem, whether it be political, legal, social, economical, or otherwise, and if that is the solution, then I'll be very unkind and very unforgiving for those who have promised to achieve it and were not able to. Simply because we have been trying one method for the past 99 years. 2025 going to make it 100 years. And if that method is working, it is time for more succinct and militant determination in achieving our autonomy. That is my position on that and Mr. Charles for tonight. But having said that, I wish that light and perpetual light shine upon Mr. Charles, and may he find peace in his everlasting rest in his Maker's bosom. Mr. Pandey's funeral, in the circumstances, deserves commendation. But it was not without its trials and so. I mean, some people saw it as unbecoming that a former Minister of Finance had to jump over a gate or a railing, a fence. No, you'll forgive me for laughing, eh? Jump over a railing and so. But not only she did it, you know. She was accompanied by the former President of the Senate, a man who acted as President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Commander of the Armed Forces. They were seen jumping over a railing. I think it might be important to set the record straight in that regard. That at the time they arrived, now don't let me fool ourselves. Okay, if you have some young soldiers and young police by the gate, and they don't know Karen, what's the name? I'm really not good with names, you know. And they don't know, stay not charging. And they don't know Karen Nunez Teixeira and so. They don't know her. Let me just say, they don't know her. Certainly, some senior person there would have known her. Because she was the Minister of Finance. And on the matters of back pay and razor pay and budgets and so, persons corporal and above must know the name Karen Teixeira Nunez, because they would have been involved in negotiation for the settlement of their monies and so, and as a result of that, they will know the name. Hamel Smith, he was president of the Senate and he acted on occasions as President of the Republic. So it wasn't about not knowing them, why they were not allowed inside. And it certainly was not about the invitation. I heard the minister saying, and I want to put on record, and I agree with the minister's position, it was an ongoing process. Now, Foreign Affairs dealt with the protocol. Foreign Affairs may have, and they got it wrong, eh? Don't get me wrong, no pun intended. Don't get me wrong that Foreign Affairs got it wrong, eh? Don't get me wrong, they got it wrong. Because they left out the judges of the High Court and the Appeal Court. And their view was, well, we invited the Chief Justice, he will represent all of them. Judges are now saying, as have been recorded in the Newsday, judges are now saying that they are not civil servants. They are part of the country's constitutional tripod. And as a result of being part of the country's constitutional tripod, they ought to be included in state events. And I support those judges who hold that view. I support the judges that hold that view. Because I know one such judge who was in a very awkward position in that regard. Because that judge was Mr. Pandey's law clerk, became a lawyer, then was Mr. Pandey's junior in chamber. And that judge will fondly give you jokes about Mr. Pandey when he was a young lawyer working with Mr. Pandey. And he said, well, Chief, this is our brief and... Yeah, look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Now you tell me. And I'll tell you why that is nonsense. That is unbecoming. And as if one is not enough. Because that man on this side here, he's a special branch man. He must know that is the minister of, well, former minister of finance. That special, and he's a senior special branch man. He must know that is the former president of the Senate. That was not necessary. So this judge always give the joke that he say, Chief, you ever go on, you know, we have this case, we have this case today, so I research the law, I have some authorities and things and some precedent, and Mr. Pandey will tell him, hey, don't study these things too much now, man. Them magistrate here like to hear too much of law. Just wrap it up in a summary for me and I'll deal with it on my legs and so. But when he's under pressure and he's losing, he'll turn to the junior and say, make a note of that for the appeal and the Privy Council. So this is a thing we laugh at. That judge was in an awkward position because he's a senior judicial officer. So he don't know, should I go because he's a long life friend? Or do I go because there's a position not to invite judges? You understand that dilemma? And then you're showing up by the gate without invitation, you don't know what to do. But I want to set the record on that. What Nunes, Teixeira, and Smith did, Hamel Smith did there, was unnecessary. It was uncalled for. I think it was rude and unbecoming and a complete distraction to the burial of a hero. Mr. Pandey did not deserve that. But then again, Chief, you did it so well that even former ministers and presidents jumping over fences to get a final moment with you because you did it well. So, the cortege were entering at the time. And so they were just merely told, you'll have to wait until the cortege get inside. Because you can't squeeze through the soldiers and them lifting this box, this coffin and things. So they said, no, just wait. If not, you can pass there. That was all that happened, you know. They were the ones who turned that into politics, not being invited. Look what look what you had President of the Senate doing. Look what you had me as minister, former minister doing. I tried to call my colleague and they didn't. Listen, that was an ongoing process. And even the morning of the funerals, persons were showing up and they were escorted to different areas of Sapa. It's as simple as that. So Ms. Teixeira and Mr. Hamel Smith were engaged in nonsense politics for attention. That is what that was, right? I just want to share one brief moment about Mr. Pandey. Called me to his office one day, and I was his personal assistant at the time. Said, Skip, I want to go up to Tobago and fight some election and thing, boy. How you think we're doing that? I said, well, Chief, where thou lead, I will follow. We had a beverage and we discussed it. He said, but I don't want to raise it. You'll come in that text and you go raise it and thing, and you know, when you raise it, I go support it and thing, and we'll tell the fellas we had to go up and so. Long story short, and we came to the Tobago, he called me, where are you? Say, I'm in Lambo, sir. Come to the hotel and check me. I went down to the hotel. Say, boy, plenty people tell me, you know, you had some scrape with the law and thing when you was young and thing, but You don't take them on. You keep your chin up and I standing up with you. Well, thus ended this story. Thus ended this story. Mr. Pandey, indeed, when he died, every single strata of this society, from president to a street dweller, could tell a personal and genuine story about Mr. Pandey. Every strata of society. Because indeed he was a honest man for the people. He didn't hug up the public when cameras were around. He didn't intervene in people's life because it was good politics to do so. He didn't say comforting things to people because it was politically expedient. He did not allow his supporters and his loyal people to live on promises. He had much more respect for his supporters and his loyalists and so. And a lot of politicians will do well to emulate someone of his trait or someone of his character. But I must speak in general now about the hypocrisy of the PNM in both Ho Choi and Pandey's funeral. Let's take a very short break and we shall return.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
And opinions expressed on the following program are those of the commentators, guest, and host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the policy or the views held by Tobago Updates or this network. Tobago Updates or this network cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
Yes. I also took note of the PNM's conduct in it. They were the ones, the PNM, their leader, their deputy leaders and so, their officials and even their members were the ones saying Mr. Pandey is a rapist, Mr. Pandey is a thief, Mr. Pandey is a jail. But they were saying that. That was their campaign. That was their mantra. Well, they said the worst about Charles, of course. And man, I tell you, I lived the day to see. 1 week last week, Rowley was saying, Pandey born on Mischief Day, he christened on Mischief Day, he got dead on Mischief Day. Shortly after that, I heard Rowley saying, Pandey was the best thing after sliced bread. I heard PNM, in fact, they cry more and they wail more than loyal supporters of Charles and Pandey. They agonize more. You would swear that when Pandey died, he was PNM to the core. The PNM literally worship Pandey, the PNM, the same persons that persecuted and prosecuted him all his life. And one must ask, well, why? Why this sudden about turn? Or was it a case of showing respect? It was not a case of showing respect. You see, I want to tell you now what Pandey's death and Ho Choi's death has in common. And what is the... Well, there's nothing positive about that, but you'll understand what I'm saying. What positive things can come out of their deaths? Death has a way of unifying people. And when we as a people realize that there is no more great lion fighter and no more great heavy roller to lead and champion with resolve the issues against this criminal government led by this ruthless dictator, they realize now that they will start, you see, what their death will do is start merging people together and snowballing forces together. So, they infiltrated the funeral, took credit for burying Pandey, because their political strategy is to continue in the end, to show that they were Pandey lovers. The same people who lock him up. I saw Ken Gordon, the old woman, the old Indian woman that's on the TV. She said, me afraid in, I say anything big. I saw Ken Gordon, who sued Pandey from when Pandey made his statement pseudo-racist. He sued Pandey. Got an award against Pandey. Pursued Pandey to take his property. Because those are the likely outcomes, and so Pandey had to appeal. And it was Justice Sharma, Chief Justice then as he was then, who sat on the appellate board and had to agree that no damage was really significantly done, if any at all, to Gordon's character. And as a result of that, Gordon's compensation should be in the sum of $1, one TT dollar. Well, I saw that same Ken Gordon, who hated Pandey so much, sue him, want big money from him, fight him in the courthouse. I saw him give an interview about his love for Pandey. And I saw him shamelessly sitting, signing condolences book and so. Well, I tell you what, I tell you what. My phone really died because there was something I wanted to show you all, but I just... anyhow, I can't run off here to go for that. I don't remember I have something that I... But, alright. I don't know. Perhaps I'll show you all next week, but I really wanted to show you this. But it is what it is. Don't beat up. I wanted to show you that even in death, Pandey always said, send me out in a blaze of glory. I wanted to show you that even in his death, he went out in a blaze of glory, and there was something specific in the flame I wanted to show you. But do I have iPhone, phone crash, and I don't know, something wrong with it. But it is what it is. Don't beat up. We'll do it next time, if only for that purpose. But I wanted to show you that he went out in a blaze of glory indeed. I wanted to show you again something in the flame to make that point. You see, sometimes because life is not only about what we see and what we hear and what we feel. Life is not only tangible at all. Life is not only about things that are tangible. There's a physical life and there's a spiritual life. And of course, I will know that there's a spiritual life and a physical life from my own life experiences. What day it was? I think in July of last year, I had to bury my father. September, I had to bury a son. Next week, Thursday, I have to bury a cousin. She was the murdered victim, and so recently here in Tobago. 4 days ago, my mother's house burned flat to the ground, left her with only the clothes on her back. While dealing with all of that, the news of her next cousin died. And sometimes you ask yourself, how strong one person could be and how much one person could take. Well, I want to tell you something. Take it, Tobago, until you break, but don't surrender. Take it until you break, but do not surrender. And so this issue of crime, and having said what I just tell you there, on the single out Wayne Clark, he called me the night, my area representative, he called me the night, and I want to thank him for doing that. And I want to single out Kareem Marcel, the young lawyer from Beetham. He called me also and expressed some support and so in the matter with my mother and so. I can say no such thing about anybody else, because nobody else reach out to even say hello or ask a question. And I made that point to show you, just like Ochoy and Pandy, when you are in public life, you have to understand that criticism and persons hating you are a hazard of the job. Well, you have to remain focused on what the job is if you have to achieve anything. And if I learned nothing else from Basil Pandy, that is what I learned. Stay focused on the task at hand. Work hard at it, but at the end of the day, don't care how long it takes, achieve it. I want to talk about this crime issue in Tobago. Someone asked me today, and I think it was a very reasonable question. They said, considering we have the 4th schedule and the 5th schedule, I got that correct, yes? We have the different schedule, 5th and 6th or 4th and 5th? Right, so we have the 5th schedule and the 6th schedule. One outlines some responsibilities. One of the schedules outlines some responsibilities for the THA, and one outlines some responsibilities for the central government. Said, well, yeah, I said, I agree with that. I don't think that is in dispute. And then that person asked me, said, well, Orville London was chief secretary, and he operated with the assembly schedule. But he was able to get a complement of the defense force to move to Tobago during his tenure. Crime was significantly decreased, if not tremendously reversed. So there was no real crime problem. This shooting, spurge and killing, those things did not exist with London. Because he made when there was the tourist issue, he made this intervention with the defense force. But he also had the assembly schedule, and there was the central government schedule. But London was able to get a complement of the defense force here for a specific task, and they were mission oriented, and it yielded tremendous, significant, and successful result. Nothing in the law changed. Nothing in the law was revoked. Nothing in the law was amended. The same law still exists. If London did it, why this administration cannot do it? And that question have left me stumped. Very, very stumped. Because I was unable to give what I considered a reasonable answer to a reasonable question. And I put that question out there for you. I put that question out there for you. If London did it with the same laws that exist and the same arrangement, why can't it be done now? Because we have a serious problem on the island. I'm hearing many theories. I'm hearing the theories of gangs. I'm hearing the theories of owing for drugs. I've heard all the theories. But while those theories exist, what we have is a serious incident of criminality. Who would want to believe that in the middle of Scarborough? Yes, Scarborough. This same Scarborough here. I'm not talking about Port of Spain or Baghdad. I'm talking Baghdad or Vietnam or Libya. I'm talking about Scarborough, in an island where we invite tourist ships and so to come in so we could keep, and we insist among ourselves that they must come because in our environment it is clean, green, and serene. Scarborough is now a Wild West with shootings, multiple injuries, and this is not the first time of recent vintage we had to suffer that as an island. I accept, and let me make this clear, nobody is to be blamed for criminal activities except the criminals themselves. We blame the teacher, they didn't teach the maths good. We blame the pastor, they didn't preach long enough. We blame the Sunday school teacher, she didn't bring job and share. All kind of nonsense we come up with. We blame hard-working parents who teach and insist on discipline in their home. We blame everybody, but nobody wants to blame criminals for criminality and criminal conduct. So I think crime and criminality, I intend to put it squarely where it belongs, on the shoulders of the criminals that perpetrated it. But there are some cause and effects to how we respond to crime and criminality. One cause and effect scenario I'm going to juxtapose to you is when Collis Hazel bring a group of camouflage policemen to the island. So, you know, we expect that when you hear camouflage, you start thinking right away, you're thinking about some tactical precision and, you know, some paramilitary training. And so you say, wow, some tough squad, you know, it's a tough squad. So criminals will be on the back foot, criminal will be on the retreat and so. And he brought them up. And the only thing we know about them is that they walk through Scarborough. They passed 2 blocks, two drug blocks they passed. They walked through Scarborough, passed 2 blocks, but they went in the market to ask vendors for receipt for bag of dasheen and box of sweet potato and yam and pimento. So they were doing the work of the predial last Sunday squad. No, because they are tough men. They're a tactical unit. So you bring that unit, you put them in a room, you bring your persons from your criminal intelligence unit and your gang intelligence unit and so, and you design a war room, you put up photographs of your suspected perpetrators and gang members and so, you use your intelligence, you say, well, he live here, this is his whereabouts, this is his routine, you know, we were monitoring and so, and you plan tactical operations. No, you bring them, put them in mass, arm them with Uzis and Galils and SLRs and all kind of sophisticated weapon, MP5s and so. Walk them through Port of Spain, pass through 2 drug blocks straight, and you went in the market harassing market vendors to show you receipt for a bag of dasheen that they're selling. The effect from that nonsense is that the criminals are going to just laugh at that type of operation, and it will embolden them to continue to engage in criminal conduct even more. So that is one. So I am saying that the police intervention is a joke, and I'm properly advised that while we think there might be need for police intervention, I'm properly advised some of the police may very well be the problem. And engaging in ostracism is not going to solve this situation. That is one. Secondly, you take a delinquent, send him to the University of Criminality, that is Port of Spain Prison or Golden Grove. They went for thieving Miss Mary bowl of tambran ball, or she pack a cigarette or a tape deck from Chicago. Or selling more than the allowed ounces. I'm not into marijuana. That's not me thing. I'm more a rum man, sorry. I'm not into marijuana. But I know there's a portion of ounces persons with cannabis and so are allowed to have. So you take up some, I don't know the figure, I'm saying 30, I could be wrong. But I say, it's not me things I never study how much I have to get and keep. I know how much rum I could buy, and nobody can customs can interfere with me. Because that is it. But that aside. So you take that person, you send them to Golden Grove or Port of Spain, but they're from Tobago. They go down in Port of Spain, unsupported, and no relatives or friends, no easy access for visitors, no social intervention and that sort of thing. You take them. But the prison is governed by gangs. They have to survive. So they are befriended and recruited by several of the many gangs that exist in the prison. So that is a recruitment pot. So they get recruited by, and I will just say, Gang A. They get cigarette to smoke because remember they might be there for short periods, so they're there for 6 months. They get recruited by Gang A, who have persons there for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 18 months, but more than 6 months. And Gang A recruits them. Gang A giving them meals. They don't have to eat prison meal again, special meals and that sort of thing. Cigarette, marijuana to smoke, phone calls and all that sort of thing. So they jail comfortable. Whether you know it or not, it costs 100 TT dollars for one single retail cigarette. And it does not matter if the cigarette is Dumaray, Broadway, Monkdor. I don't think nobody else buy Benson and Hedges and Dunhill, but so it's Dumaray, Monkdor, Broadway. And now they have the LMM and so, right? Notwithstanding what brand of cigarette it is or what quality, it costs 100 TT dollars for a cigarette. Right? Or take note of that. So you're getting a cigarette. You're smoking 3-4 a day. So you see, it got everything in prison have a price. Eh? You don't want to drink the water from the tap. You want bottled water. That has a price. Everything in prison have a price. So no gang giving you, nobody giving you all these things nice in jail unless they want to romance you. And if the issue is not one of romancing you, then it's really recruiting you. So now you out first in 6 months. But they are in your, and because they have now become your brethren, they take care of me in the jail. You know, they send me down from Tobago, nobody visit me. If nobody planning come, I will not get a bed, a mattress. I will not get a sheet because Golden Grove cold. I will not get cigarette. I will not get food. They take care of you. You know what those things cost. You now feel you have an obligation to them. So, you gone back to Tobago. But all you did was thief Miss Mabel tape deck. But Tobago now started to say upsurge in serious crimes. And I'll tell you why. So you thief Miss Mabel's tape deck. But while you now return back to Tobago, you get a call from one of the bosses that in the prison still. Say, oh, what was it seen, dogger? Yeah, what was it seen, dogger? Well, right. Well, you know I'm screw up coming out in the morning, eh? So I gave him some money and thing, but he go handle you because trust me, you want to talk about money? The economy in jail can let me put it this way. You see the cash economy in jail? It can compete. And even do better than some divisions in the Tobago House of Assembly. I think it's important for me to tell you that. So that you get some cash and all that sort of thing. You say, well, you go up by Dogger. So you tell Dogger, you go pick up, screw up on the airport or the port. And most likely it would be the airport because the risk of going down to the port mean that screw up is likely to get killed somewhere along the way. So the shortest way out is in the airport. You go up in, so if you're in Port of Spain jail or Carrera, you run down on the port. You're in the eastern facility, one of the Golden Groves, depending on which facility, MSP or whatever, you run over to the airport, your shortest way out. And you come up to Tobago. Now remember, you just see for tape deck, you get 3,000 in your hand, I used to buy food and thing, and then your next phone call is, yo, screw up handling up there, yeah, nice, cool. And then because screw up now calling the boss and say, yeah, boy, up here real nice, boy, I think I'm going to lie low. If screw up, go home in Trinidad, I think I'll get killed. Up here real nice, father, I real like up here and thing and thing. But then screw up, seasoned criminal as he is, will say, and you know it is a real easy food, but the man running the block up here, the man selling the weed up here, but he's a beep. Easy food now, we could control the boy, we could govern the under we orders, we could ride out. And they have a thing to say, he never do nothing, meaning he never shoot, he never hold a gun, he never do nothing, but he's a beep, beep, beep. Right away there, the boss in jail have seen another opportunity for cash earnings. So Screw Up, who was supposed to just come to Tobago and stay by Dogger, not to get killed, scouted out an area, he start there. Some boys, and he got so loud weed because he started to be a Screw Up now he's a broker. Because he started to say, Dan, I'm from Trinity boy, and we just do it wet, we just do it by the kilos, we just do it by the bales, and but if you see it's gone like we had that, and the average fricker-minded young person is excited by that crap. By the time you hear it, Screw Up now getting guns and weed from Trinidad, and they take control of Block A. But Screw Up is not the only person. So as more come out, more Tobagonians come out, you find that they're in all the different villages. And because it's easy food, they don't realize Dogger is a Tobagonian. So I want a genuine man to watch me back. I up here around, I see a Tobagonians and thing. So you bring up a next colleague who may or may not be in prison. He up here. And then you find the connections start to get stronger and stronger. And then you start, when that start happening, you start having confrontations between the locals and those who strong arming and influencing, taking over the blocks and so. And it snowballs into what we have taken place here today. Simply because somebody was too lazy to make some meaningful intervention in the Tobago prison that housed Tobagonians. By meaningful intervention, I mean things like some academia, CXCs, school leaving, and so. Training, life skill training. Some of them were too lazy to make some simple intervention as making intervention to reconnect perpetrators and so back with their family and society. So you make it gradual, and somebody was just too lazy to do the job. And I could assure you, the prison is waving a white flag every day and every minute to all civic-minded society who wishes to get involved in the rehabilitation process. And because the offending rate in Tobago is not as wide and high as it is in Trinidad, we could afford and ought to have managed our rehabilitation process here unique to our culture, our traditions, and our values. And we were just too lazy to do it. And this is the whirlwind of what we reaping. Could it be raining? Could it be restored? Most certainly it can. Most certainly it can. On the next occasion, we'll talk solutions. My name is Barrington Skippy Thomas. Thanks for joining tonight.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the commentators, guest, and host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the policy or the views held by Tobago Updates or this network. Tobago Updates or this network cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.